What's up, guys? Josh Davis here. It is the Philly special on a Tuesday, and a crazy one at that, but it's kind of crazy these days in general. Shout out to Nathan Hoffman, too. Just on one tonight, but all the comments beforehand, prehand. I know that I'm late getting this started. It was going to go at 6, had some crazy dog stuff going on, so I had to clean up that mess. But I appreciate you guys hanging out, and good to be here because there's so much to get into. There's lots to break down. Sirianni's staying, obviously. I think that we assumed that. It was leading and kind of headed in that direction anyway. But officially, I mean, with him making the firings of the coordinators, you could go ahead and chalk that one up there. But the surprise that comes from that, and that's what I want to get into. I mean, I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts, as far as what's actually taking place, what we're hearing, reports, can we believe them? You've got the Brian Johnson being gone or not going to be coming back, people upset in the building. Jalen Hurts is no longer a leader, apparently. He was a great leader a year ago, I guess, and when you offer him $255 million, but, in a year's time, all these strange, random issues pop up that, I mean, are they legit? Did we somehow not see those a year ago? Did we go blind because of the Super Bowl run? I don't know. I'm curious, but we're going to get into all that. Curious to hear y'all's take. And I appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of a pass for running late. Frank, appreciate it, man. Says, cool, bro. I'm used to running late. Yeah, that's usually me anyway, but I feel like these days with a new baby and trying to juggle schedules and everything else, that's where we're at. So shout out to everybody, though. Again, everyone in the chat. Going to have a good time. Try to get to as many comments as I can, as always. But hope you guys are doing good, staying safe. And who are we going to have on this new regime? I mean, there's questions there, too. It feels like it's going to probably be over the next several days and weeks. Hopefully not weeks, right? We got to get this ball rolling. We don't want to be like last season, be the last ones to the table, because then all of a sudden, hey, you don't get who you want. And we see the coordinators. There's already been several. I'm going to just be honest with you guys. I've done a show about this, but Shane Waldron was my top pick for OC, and he's gone to Chicago. So you missed out on him. Now, I don't know if Philly was actually going to have that, but still, I'm a little bit upset on that one. But Donnie, what's up? Says, hi, how are you? I'm doing good. Doing pretty good. A little bit low on sleep, but, it's the life of having 2 kids and rolling with the schedule. But my wife's the MVP. That's without question. I mean, regardless, she would be, but allowing me to hop on and chat with you guys, she is for sure the MVP because she's holding down the fort. But hope that you're doing well also. Philly Sports Hustle, what's up? All the way from Vegas. There you go. Sad that we couldn't be there for you. We were going to go to we were going to try to go to the Super Bowl if they had made it. And that would have been cool, but unfortunately not. But how's it going? We'll talk. This is the question right here, right? We'll talk. Is Jalen Hurts really the future? What do y'all think? Is he the future? You paid him like he's the future. $255 million a year ago, and then all of a sudden we have these questions and concerns. Like, I know that the team didn't play well. We all realize that. We had so many issues and, things that pop up, but Jalen can't handle the blitz, and, he's got to make checks. Sure, he's got to be better. He's got to be able to recognize things, make some audibles. That is so true, but come on. I'm with Dank Birds. Jalen is the future. Yes. He's not Carson Wentz. For those people that started making those comments, I saw some of those saying, is he Carson Wentz? What's going on? The report of Jalen Hurts, what was it? Jalen Hurts ostracized or intimidating some players, teammates, just around the building, not really sure. He's not the most approachable. I guess it's not totally unreasonable. Like when I watch Jalen Hurts, and I'm, again, curious to get y'all's thoughts, but whenever I watch Jalen Hurts and in press conferences, it doesn't necessarily seem like at times, but that's to the media, but that he's the most approachable, that he'd be like, oh yeah, that dude could just be chill and we could have a good time because he's so businesslike. But that's fine because, again, it's the media, so you don't want to give him anything. But come on. We can't really think that he's awful as a leader, that there's these concerns, everything else. Just depends on who's reporting it. Alex Cruz, how's your baby? Baby's doing great. Trying to work on the sleep thing, but she's doing good. Bronny, what's up? Did it hurt you as much as it hurt me to watch competent coordinators lead their teams this past weekend? Absolutely it did. If you guys follow me on Twitter, I was tweeting during all the games, really. But every time you see successful offense or defense, like good scheming, good plays, creativity, yeah, it's terrible when we sit there and go, are you kidding me? Like, I'm sorry. Hey, congrats to Detroit. Congrats to, I can't even really hardly say it, but, congrats to San Francisco. The Ravens, the Chiefs, they made it. They figured out a way to do it. But you look at those teams, and Baltimore is loaded. Like, I think that they're the favorite for a lot of people to win it all, and understandably so. But I'm still, look at just the talent. Forget about the play callers. Forget about the coaching. Look at the talent on the roster. I'm just saying, we should have at least been in the NFC Championship game. That without a question. We were sitting there at 10-1, and we had a very great chance to be able to host, to be the number 1 seed, and we know how it fell apart. But yes, it drove me up a wall this past weekend watching it and saying, man, how easy it seems like it could be. There's really no answer for what happened the last 7 weeks or beyond that. But, that's whenever it reared its ugly head. Frank, what do you think about this firing of the coaches and Nick staying? Yeah, it's frustrating. I think that Nathan was saying it earlier in the pre-chat. I don't know exactly what we call that, but I was late for 10 minutes. But Nathan, look, this is a stopgap, and it's really on all sides. So I agree with him there. You're not fixing anything long-term in my mind. I really don't think so. You might be able to, I don't know, you might be able to fix some things kind of for more than a year, but it's one of those that you're just kind of kicking the can down the road. Like you're saying, cool, we're going to keep Sirianni. We've scapegoated these other guys. And we're going to get to this too, but what do y'all think about Brian Johnson? Is it good? Was it bad that he gets let go? Was he the scapegoat? Is it fair, unfair? I know he wasn't good as a play caller, but we'll get to that one too. But yes, as far as Sirianni goes, like, the dude can't make an offense. He's a great cheerleader. I don't have a problem with him necessarily as far as like personality, but again, like we've been saying, it's like you got to be able to have an offense if you're brought in as an offensive mind, and he's running a high school offense. That's all he's got. And so to me, it's frustrating because it feels like you're just prolonging the inevitable. Now, I hope that I'm dead wrong. I hope that it's, hey, you know what? You bring in some different offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, whether it's a stopgap or more of a hopefully long-term solution, and Sirianni can be that CEO head coach, and, he doesn't have to get into the weeds. Maybe he agrees to do that, but as much as he meddles and as much as he loves to say that he's an offensive mind, it feels very unlikely that he's going to go, cool, and insert whoever you want. I mean, I don't know who we're talking about offensive coordinator these days. Jim Bob Cooter, Arthur Smith, Eric Bieniemy. Frank Reich, I guess, is still in the running, but is he going to say, cool, it's your offense and I'm not going to do anything? I don't know. You got to get someone who's going to help Jalen, though. Jorge, what's up? That had to be the coaches because everyone did horrible. Yeah. Coaches were awful. Donnie saying, I think Jalen needs a good OC. He's proven he can be effective and be really good. That's so true. Again, you look at a lot of guys. Like, it's not just Jalen. Jalen's obviously the proof point or the case there because we're talking about our OCs, but look at what Steichen did in Indianapolis. I mean, he took an offense there that not as talented. They have some talent, sure, but not near as talented as Philly. And he was able to get Gardner Minshew to play well enough to, I mean, they had a great chance, honestly, to knock off the Texans and still make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs, but still, you're right there in the running when you lose the quarterback that you drafted of the future. So it wouldn't surprise me if next season you're saying, man, Anthony Richardson, he's starting to progress, starting to turn a corner. You see it all the time. Like, if you have an offensive mind, you got to keep them whatever you can do. And that's why you make them the head coach. That's why, to me, it's like, hey, you know what? You have a Sean McVay. You make him a head coach. You have a Kyle Shanahan. Make him the head coach. You have a Shane Steichen. Make him the head coach. Because long term, even if an OC gets poached, like Jim Bob Cooter, for example, although it sounds like he's not going to come to Philly. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. But Jeff McClain of the Inquirer, just in case people haven't seen, said it's probably not happening. So for what that's worth, Jim Bob Cooter might be out of the running. But you got to keep your best offensive minds as head coach, and then they can, bring in other staff members, bring in people. It's just sad because we don't really have the same area as far as, what you're looking at with Nick Sirianni in that instance. What's up, Weapon X? Appreciate you joining. I don't think Jalen Hurts, or I don't think Jalen had a bad year at all, just too many turnovers. Yeah. Too many turnovers. I would agree with that. I mean, percentage-wise, he was, second best in terms of real completion percentage versus expected, or what? It was not a lot of separations for the receivers, for the players. He turned the ball over way too much. Totally give you that. There's some boneheaded decisions. We can think of several interceptions. He threw it right to the defense. But as far as, just the overall year, without question, I'm right there with you. Robert, what's up, man? You always do a great job. Will Howie be aggressive in free agency for linebackers and safeties finally? I hope so. Do we believe that? I hope that he does. I mean, you really have to. This is just the ongoing conversation I know we've had for weeks, and we'll probably have it all the way up to the draft. So again, reminder, we're going to do the draft. We're going to be live during the all days. We're going to have lots of draft coverage. Was going to try to have Anthony DeBona on, but I think you may be caught up at work. But lots of draft coverage, scouting profiles, players from the Senior Bowl. We're going to be talking about mock drafts, everything. So curious to see. I hope that in free agency, I hope it doesn't go to the draft. But again, knowing Howie, when you sit there and go like, is he really going to spend on draft, or is he going to spend in free agency to go after those positions? I guess some of the mindset could be like, hey, you're going to make up for it. It's a possibility. You were so poor that you all of a sudden said, hey, we're going to overcorrect. Does Howie do that? I hope, but he still never invests in linebackers too much. So that's the concern I would see. Nathaniel Bowden, what's up? He was different this year. No swagger. He wasn't having fun. That's true that he was different in the sense of swagger, but I think that it's like, maybe I'm wrong. My thought on it is like he didn't have swagger because, it's like the first game, maybe first two games, and then all of a sudden it looks like he might be a little injured, possibly. There's some frustration going on, and then he keeps getting asked about the injury, which maybe we'll know eventually. I would assume that we will, like what the extent of that was. And then, we went through 7 straight weeks of bad. So I don't know if it was that. Maybe it was Brian Johnson. King Eagle 1131, what's up? Says Brian Johnson was a scapegoat. He never really had a real opportunity to run his own offense. Probably not. But the report, apparently, if you believe it, is that Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts, their relationship soured. So did that have something to do with Jalen? Maybe not, having as much, energy, positivity, swag, whatever you want to call it. But it wasn't as fun, for sure. I mean, we all know that. Like, everyone who lived through the live streams or just watching on your own or watch party with friends and family, there was never, the exception of like 2 games maybe, where you could sit there and enjoy a victory. Like, oh, we've got this in the bag, game over, look at that. That was a dominant performance. I don't even think there was really a dominant performance with the exception of maybe I'd call it Tampa, but Jalen played terrible in Tampa week 3. So was it all sides of the ball, complete game? I don't know. The Dolphins game, I was there at the link. That was a good one. But Jalen still, he threw a pick. And the offense was good at times and then had its own issues. The defense played pretty good, especially against an offense like that. But the year was just weird. I mean, the vibes in general. I don't know of a better way to describe what the year felt like other than weird. It just didn't compute. And every single, I know that like all of our health deteriorated. Without question. If you watch the games, it was, you're basically going to live through a heart attack every single time. So Sadly, they didn't turn things around. I'm hopeful that they can now. Andrew, what's up? Eagles fans and media fired BJ. BJ gets fired. Sirianni scapegoated him. Unbelievable take. Yeah, I mean, there's so much emotion involved, but like, to me personally, like, I don't think BJ was the answer, but I also didn't think that, and don't think that Sirianni is. So the way that he runs his offense and the lack of, getting the buy-in there. Let me get to a super chat here real quick, though. Flipping the Bird, what's up? Appreciate the 5-bomb there. Bieniemy and Rivera with Reich as QB coach and Jeremiah Trotter Sr. as linebackers coach, and draft his son. Epic. Whatever it takes to draft, whatever it takes to draft Jeremiah Trotter's son, I am all on board with that. Are you kidding me? I mean, draft a linebacker for one, but you get Trotter in the midnight green again. Oh my gosh, that would be epic. That's the hope. I really do want to see that. I don't know. The whole Bieniemy and Rivera, like that to me, and then Reich as a QB coach. I don't know. Do you think he's gonna take all the way down to quarterbacks coach? Maybe not that far. But I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind the combination as far as getting Trotter. But you're also like, I go back and forth on that. You're going to take Commanders. I mean, you just ask the Commanders fellows to come over and say, hey, guys, you want to run our team for us? I don't know. They weren't great. Although I guess the counter argument to that is they were fantastic against the Eagles. So if Sirianni's looking at it, he might go, hey, they're pretty good. Put up a fight against us. Get destroyed whenever they play Dallas. That's a negativity. I don't know if that works. I don't know. It feels like, you got to have as Jalen Kelce. This is the best name here. You just combine both of them. So Jalen Kelce, who's your favorite OC and DC candidates for the Eagles? It's changed naturally because we're not hurrying to the table. We're not last to the table, it feels like, but we're not hurrying in that instance. So again, like if people are not fully aware of interviews that are going on, you got your offensive coordinator candidates. You've got the speculation of Jim Bob Cooter, but again, I just mentioned a second ago that Jeff McClain of the Inquirer said that's not happening or not likely. Arthur Smith has interest from 7 teams, according to Diana Rossini. Again, former head coach, Atlanta Falcons, previously with Vrabel and the Titans. So maybe the Eagles are one of those 7. Who knows? Bieniemy possibility. Frank Wright, I know, has been linked to Philly for quite some time, although I believe it was Jeremy Fowler who said that Frank Reich has not received any calls yet from Sirianni, at least about offensive coordinator. So is he getting help in other facets? Maybe, but for the coordinator position, I don't know. My favorite was Shane Waldron, and I mentioned a second ago, but he's in Chicago now, so I don't know. I go back and forth, but like being tied in with Sean McVay, I want a creative mind. I need something that's not going to be just, I don't know, boring, simplistic, way too simplistic, like a high school offense that we had here. You got to change some stuff up. Make it easy. I'm sorry. You watch the tape, and I get Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are great, sure, but there's no reason that A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can't be schemed open just like those guys are. You can't tell me that. There's no way. You got Dallas Goedert too. You get them all involved in the passing game. Like if that's what you want, that would be the area that I go and attack. Now again, you still want to keep running the football. So you could say, is Arthur Smith the answer? I would feel like no, because he's probably going to be not enough on the throwing and passing game. You get the reunion with A.J. Brown. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing though. But I don't know. Shane Waldron was my top pick, and now I'm kind of going back and forth because Eric Bieniemy could be okay, but then we'd probably be worse if remember whenever the picketing at the NovaCare complex and saying run the ball, like what was Bieniemy, like 64%? You guys probably know better than I do. I think 64% pass, wasn't it that? So you would be concerned quick, especially you start losing and you're throwing the ball 64% or more of the time. Yeah, you'd really, and I would too. I'd be like, come on, We gotta start running the football. D Dragon, what's up? Appreciate the two. Says we went from 10-1 to where do we go from here? Yeah, and yeah, we're all nauseous on that one. It's really unfathomable. Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, did that actually happen? Did we really not only go from 10-1, but we lost the division and didn't even win a playoff game, not one? Like I thought at the beginning of the year, or I guess last in the offseason, my prediction was 11 wins. So we got there, but the way that we got there was the terrible side. But I mean, I would have told you for sure. I think all of us would have said this like before the season, even the middle part of the season, even with the struggles, and not like at the end of the 7-game stretch, but I would say even after the Niners game, after Dallas, that was like, okay, we've got some major issues here we need to fix. But certainly after the Niners game, I still would have been like, hey, look, we're going to win our first playoff game. Now, beyond that, who knows? We need to kind of get some stuff straightened out. But yeah, you go from 10-1 to where do we go from here? And we might not have any answers. It's a little concerning, to say the least. Tracy Ann, what's up? Says, I think there are several reasons for the collapse down the stretch, but the Super Bowl hangover is the single biggest factor. Okay. I mean, it's worth noting, I think, for sure. I'm not discrediting that. There's something weird though. Again, like that, I don't know of a better way to describe this whole season going throughout it, but like just the vibes in general. And I know that there's, yes, Super Bowl hangover. I know it happens for a ton of teams, but it's like, I'm just trying to think of Super Bowl hangover and a team that goes 10-1 to start. Like I know we weren't playing quite up to the standard, and I don't know, I hate even saying that because it just reminds me of Jalen just saying ad nauseum as far as not playing up to the standard. But like, we didn't play up to the standard for so long, but we were 10-1, and so it was like good enough-ish. We were kind of lucking or being fortunate into some of those games, but that's why, to me, it didn't feel like as much of a Super Bowl hangover as it did just glaring coaching issues. And I guess maybe you could throw that in to say, hey, that is a Super Bowl hangover or cause and effect of the Super Bowl because your coordinators get poached. But I don't know. That was just one of those that the longer the season went on, the worse it got, as we saw. And so I don't know. It's interesting, and I do think that there's obviously something natural that comes with that, but hopefully you get it right. See, Jason, has anyone reputable come out said BJ and Hurts weren't on the same page? McLean and BGN is a reputable source. Sorry, aren't reputable sources. Second one, follow up here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've seen anyone outside of that. But you would also, I would hope or think that if there is a reputable source and you see something like that, I mean, at least it was me and I knew better, I'd try to follow up, say, hey, is there any truth to this? If there's not, then I'd, follow up and say, hey, sources are telling me that's not true, or I don't know. Maybe and at the same time too, the players probably don't care at this point. They're like, look, the season's over, whatever. You guys have at it. I'm gonna enjoy the links and hunting trips and Sidney Brown resting up for his ACL and things like that. But like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything other than those. Still, it makes you question because things start coming out, as we know, and it's hard to tell like what the actual truth is. Dang birds, people only want Jeremiah Trotter Jr. because of his dad. He weighs just as much as Dean and is an inch taller. I mean, his dad helps, but like watching the dude play, I mean, forget his name. I think I would want him on my team. I don't know if it's as much as, his namesake on that side, but come on, the dude, from what we have, I mean, you're telling me, look at our linebacker core, surely. Frank says, maybe we need rougher coaches since it was said that the coaches were soft. Warm-ups were soft. Then we play like we were soft. Shaking my head. Unreal. Yeah, that's a no-doubter there. It felt so different most of the season. I think that the telling sign was whenever we played San Francisco. James Bradbury's getting smack talked. They're, pushing him, kind of a little shoving match. And I'm saying, you know what? A little extracurricular activity. That's perfectly fine. The game hasn't even started yet. I don't care. Start shoving them back. Let's get some, intensity here. And we got nothing. James Bradbury just kind of like, all right, let it happen. Other players around him, no big deal. That wouldn't have happened. I mean, we all know this. It wouldn't have happened 2 years ago. I mean, the fellas would have been like, oh, let's go. You get a fight started before the game. You need the different mentality. So, yeah, you get coaches in here that bring that. Trader Joe, what's up? Love the pick there, too. Jim Harbaugh and his DC, Jesse Winter. Yes, please. Make Nike the glorified OC. I think he's a Nick. Yeah, well, it wouldn't happen, but I would be with you as far as if you got a Harbaugh and you got just Jesse Minter. I love that combination, but it's wherever he's going to go, sadly. Joseph, please let these knuckleheads do the right thing and hire Ron Rivera. Yeah. It seemed like I started a poll. I mean, most people probably seen it, but I started a poll on the page just curious to see like where the pulse was in general. But it does feel like Ron Rivera is the leading candidate in terms of like the better potential, the ones that, are more likely based on current reports of getting hired for the defensive coordinator. So you got Ron Rivera, although Wink Martindale was close. I don't know. Where are you guys at with Wink? Andy, appreciate it. Congrats on your baby. I just want to know who was responsible for the practices where Hurts was being prodded with a mop and plunger. Please fire those who were responsible for that plan. I know it's a little unorthodox. I mean, I ball security drills. I haven't watched other teams much, so I don't know if that's like a super random thing or there's other teams that do it. But it looks strange. I'll give you that. You got the boxing gloves on and everything else, but yeah, the mop and plunger bit is a little bit further. J-Mert, how's it going? Says, I like keeping Nick. I think people grossly simplify what he is overall responsible for and don't care that this season could propel this team in the future. Mistakes are the best teachers. I mean, I'll give you that. You can learn from failure. I just don't know. The track record of Sirianni to me, man, like it doesn't feel like this is one of those that he learns from because he's had semi experience. Did he forget about it whenever he let Steichen start calling the plays and having a little more flexibility on that side? Going from 2-5 to 9-8, making the playoffs, and then obviously going to the Super Bowl the following year. But maybe he can. I'll be glad to admit that I'm wrong, but I'm on the camp that says he's not going to be able to fix that. Go James. So all year, Nick says it's his offense scheme. He's going to keep running a scheme next year or the new OC. Surely it's going to be the OC. Surely. There's no way that Lurie sits there in that meeting and goes, oh, yeah, I'm intrigued by you running the offense again, basically. I wouldn't. If I'm the owner of the team, you kidding me? I pay way too much money. Give way too much money to Jalen Hurts to make this thing a failure. It would be a quick decision. This is it. Prove it to me. Brianna Hall, Jim Bob Cooter, LOL. That's fun to say. It's an interesting name. I will say that. I saw some comments. I think it was on X that people were going like, just because of his name, I'm out. Like, come on, bro didn't get a chance to pick his name. That's his parents. It is pretty funny though. Ricky, I love Wink because he actually brings the heat. Yeah, he blitzes. He blitzes a ton. Log Dapper, I'm cool on Wink. You see what we did to his defense 3 times last year. He couldn't even beat us during our losing streak this year. They were the only win in the 6 games. Yep. Mike M, how's it going? I feel like Wink has gotten high praise on all accounts. Riverboat Ron doesn't have the best reputation here in DC. Hard to look past that. LOL. Yeah, I mean, without question there. The part that I look at too is like, Wink, in my mind, it could be okay because you're going to blitz. It's going to be very different. That's fine. We need different. We need something to change and work. But like the best quarterbacks are going to shred the blitz. I mean, I don't think that's arguable at all. Like the best quarterbacks in the league, which are almost always in the playoffs and in the deeper part of the playoffs, are going to beat the blitz. So that's the only part with Wink where I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm all right with occasional blitzing, but with the like, we're going to be the top, or one of the top, if not the top blitzing defense, I'd probably lean towards someone that's a little bit closer towards the middle of the pack in that phase because I know that we can't handle it. I know that Jalen Hurts needs to work against the blitz. Even Jason Kelce said that in the end of season presser or the locker clean out presser. He says like, I know one thing for certain, Jalen's going to get a lot of cover 0, whether I'm here or not. He's going to get a lot of cover 0, and they got to fix it. They got to figure out something. So, but good quarterbacks, they take advantage. You see pressure coming, perfect. Hot route, gone. And if you were playing against the Eagles, you didn't even have to be a good quarterback. If you saw our blitzing, you just televised the cover 0. Hey, we're coming. It's open, over the middle, throw it. Joel and Pete with the 70. Man, he's been going off. That is for sure. That dude, I didn't think he was going to be that good. I thought he would be good, but not to the extent he is. But that dude's unreal. Frank, we need the best this year, for sure. Yeah, we do. Lots of change. We need a blitzing coach, and maybe he can help Jalen read blitzing. I mean, that's a good argument, I guess, to the whole Wink philosophy. You bring him in, help the defense, and then also be like, hey, yo, Jalen, you're going to get to practice against the blitz every single day in practice. And if I'm Sirianni, I'm saying like, hey, listen, Wink, even when I don't tell you, you blitz Jalen, like just nonstop. Because, yeah, I mean, by the end of training camp, Jalen will be, a master of, well, okay, here it comes. You got to blitz every single time. It's not the worst idea. Marcus, what's up? Why are people excited over Rivera? 30 points per game, soft coverage, and dropping true edge players into coverage. Chase Young, didn't we just live through that? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't want to drop Hassan Reddick, so let's not do that. Although I don't know, and this is just going to be me sharing ignorance here. Like, I don't know how much of that was Jack Del Rio versus Ron Rivera before he took over and started calling the defense. So I do know that Jack Del Rio was calling more of like a man coverage. And then whenever Rivera took over, it's typically more of that zone. So, like the whole soft coverage part, that does make sense. I just don't know. Again, I have no clue how much before the switch happened was Chase Young going back and if that even made a difference. But yeah, I'm not necessarily saying for me personally that Ron Rivera is at the very, very top of the list. I mean, if I could pick, there's a couple different potentials, but I mean, Ryan Nielsen, even he was a good one. Thomas had mentioned it on one of his shows, but he's gone. He went to Jacksonville. But then Jesse Minter, like I shared, I think that's a good option as far as defensive coordinator. He's got the experience of calling a defense because that to me is really important. but he's going to go wherever Harbaugh goes, I think. It's almost a given. I can't imagine that he's not going to. Maybe not. Maybe he hangs around. Then there's Denard Wilson. So shout out to Rick here. What's up? Says, man, we really missed out on Denard Wilson. Guy had Slay and Bradbury playing at all pro levels and now has Baltimore DBs doing the same. That man, like, I don't know how he'd be as a DC, but you're right. Like, playing and having guys at all pro levels, bro, you should, like, not even have to interview for a job, quite honestly, and be like, bring the resume and just show who you got. You got James Bradbury at an all pro level, and just drop it on the desk and be like, I'm out. Like, call me when you want me, because you see James Bradbury this year without Denard Wilson. That's all you got to say. I know he, age, maybe he regressed a little bit in that sense, but I'm sorry. That was a terrible fall off a cliff. Like, what's bro doing? How many times do we keep on saying it? It's ridiculous. So yes, I'm with you. Denard Wilson, I would love to have him back. The only part that I just don't know, and maybe this is now because I'm kind of scarred from the experience of Brian Johnson and Sean Desai with very limited experience of calling a defense, is it's a different step. I think Denard Wilson can coach players up all day long. He's proven that without question. He can be incredible with the secondary. But can he make that jump into calling plays? And can we afford another trial run? Or do we want to say, like, look, even if it's not the best, if it's above average in terms of calling plays for the defense or the offense, do we just roll with that? Because I don't know that we have the luxury anymore. There's still time. There's the window from Jalen's contract. You got to get other players signed. But, you had the 3-ish, maybe 4 years of whenever the contract got signed last offseason. And I don't know that I want to experiment with it again. I don't know if I'm ready to be like, yeah, I think he could be good. He would be better. A lot of things would be better, but I don't know. Do we want to experiment with that side, or do you want to go with someone who's semi more proven and actually, worked in the role? Like me being a recruiter, like that's by trade, being a recruiter, that's usually the first thing. You look at, hey, have you done the job before? Like, tell me about the experience. But again, I understand too, like internal promotions, and eventually you have to be able to do, or you have to do the job to even say you have experience on it. So someone's got to take a chance on you. And sometimes it totally pays off. Maybe it does. I don't know, kind of on the fence with it. Ohana means family. What's up? I kind of talked about it earlier, but who would you like to see at the OC-DC positions? OC, I said Shane Waldron. That was my top pick, but now I'm kind of not sure, honestly. I've tried to talk myself into Arthur Smith, but to me, it feels like it wouldn't be as great passing efficiency. But you do get back to running the football, so maybe there's something there. Frank Reich is something that keeps coming up. I'm not as much on him. You got Bieniemy. I would be interested to see what Bieniemy could do with Jalen Hurts and with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, all the passing games. So that I might be leaning on that side. But again, then the reverse of that is the running game. So I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. I can't give you a straight answer. I know that's terrible, but I can critique it and say like it's terrible, or like I don't like these guys. But where I'm at right now, the only one that I really was like, yes, hire that dude, was Shane Waldron. So we'll see. And then defensive coordinator, Jesse Minter would be, I think, at the moment my top pick. But that's a dream. I don't think that's happening. Maybe Glenn Schumann, if we're talking about defensive coordinator positions coming from college. Glenn Schumann, the Georgia coach, show up and get JD in shape, no longer overweight, maximize Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Kobe Dean. I mean, he knows those guys, Keely Ringo. He'd be real familiar with half of your starting defense, or, a lot of them anyway. And Georgia has tough practices, so maybe there's another argument too, right? The comment we're talking about of the players being a little bit lacking physicality, lacking some toughness. You bring some of those Georgia practices over, and maybe not so bad. Andrew Nathan, appreciate the $2 super chat. Let's see. Wink leaves linebackers and DBs on islands. No thanks. Yeah, that's also another reason. You're not only blitzing, but yeah, tons of leaving people on islands, and again, kind of like I was mentioning a second ago, but the best quarterbacks know how to take advantage of that. So that's where you really get into trouble. Maybe it makes, I don't feel like that's where they're going to go. I know that that's a rumor, making some calls or potential feelers out there. You got Ron Rivera that you're interviewing. How about Mike Caldwell? You guys see the Mike Caldwell report? It's the other interview. Eagles going to be, we'll interview Mike Caldwell. Could be one of their assistants or defensive coordinators. Bleeding Green Nation saying it's not perfectly clear if Caldwell is interviewing for the DC role. Fowler did not explicitly say as much. He just said Philly is looking for a new defensive coordinator after first saying the Eagles will interview with Mike Caldwell. So, obviously, there's a potential there. And he did play at Philly, if you guys didn't know that, but 98 to 2001. Cisco, what's up? Brian Johnson was too close to Jalen and maybe was letting Jalen do his own thing on the field. Jalen needs a better OC who will keep him in line to make the right decisions. I could see that. You push him a little bit. Maybe not have as much familiarity there. It's not the worst thing. I think Jeff McClain actually was on Jacob Sports today, kind of hinting at the same thing, saying like, to your comment. I mean, being comfortable, hold him to the fire, get in his face at times. Like Jalen definitely was ad-libbing some. He even admitted to it. All the players admitted to it. So, but if you watch the offense and you have some of those play calls, I think by that point I'd be like, yeah, we're not really gonna need that. That's we're not gonna roll with you there. There's much better options. Sorry, BJ. Like I know you want to call that play, but we ain't doing that. Lock Dapper, appreciate the $2. Hell no. Jacksonville's defense was garbage. Yeah, it was not good. Although there's a theory on that, and I think Andrew actually brings us up here. So the $2 super chat from Andrew. Ron as defensive coordinator, Caldwell as linebackers coach, defensive assistant. Now that I love. That is absolutely what I'm in favor of. Because whenever I saw Caldwell, I'm like, is he going to be the DC or at least interviewing for the DC, or could it be a positional interview? Because remember, the linebacker coach currently, DJ Elliott, and I'm curious to see like how many of these positional coaches go, because we had the report of there's so many changes going to be happening. They're gonna blow up a lot, so that leads me to believe it's not just the OC and DC, but it's going to be the positional coaches too, and it needs to be done. But maybe dude can't call a defense, so like don't put Caldwell as the defensive coordinator. But he's been good at working with the linebackers. Like you look at his linebacker coach history in Tampa, like working with Devin White, Levante David. I think that could be good. Hopefully you get him a few. Might even be able to sign a free agent from there, get someone that he's familiar with. I wouldn't say no, but yeah, not for defensive coordinator. I'm all right bringing him back to Philly for linebacker coach. That's not so bad. Dang birds, how many times are we going to keep talking about what the next DC can't do? I don't know. Maybe just because there's a lot of PTSD from what we've witnessed. I know there's always positives and negatives to every one of them, but Luke. But thank God Brian Johnson is gone. He did say though we should have promoted Denar Wilson and shouldn't get Desai. Yeah. Frank, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but isn't AJ signed with us to a $100 million contract and locked in until 2026? Yes, I believe that's the year. I know he's locked in for a while. Yeah, 2026, 100 million. So one above all, fellow recruiter. There you go. Sweet. Mine was IT industry for a while, and then financial services. Let's see. Renegade Raider, Riverboat has had a top 10 defense almost every year. What has it been? Let's see here. I'm curious on that now. Let's see. Yeah, so as far as defensive coordinator role, again, it's different too because whenever he's a head coach, I know that can technically still count. But if we're looking at Ron Rivera from 2004 to 2010, yeah, I mean, depends on total defense, scoring defense, but pretty close. 12-13, 2-1, 5-3, 14-5. 2008 wasn't so good. 2009, 2010. He's kind of there. I mean, again, I don't hate it, but as Cal says, they need to just fire Nick and hire Mike Vrabel. You could do that. Feels like there's too much invested in Hurts. Yep, I agree. There's trade-off involved in everything, for sure. Jose, what's up? I'm a big fan of your show. Keep up the work. Keep up the great work, brother. Appreciate that. That means a lot. Appreciate all you guys. Ohana, I think this is a make or break year for Sirianni. Yeah, without question. There's no way that he can, just go meandering through this season and kind of middle of the pack. After what happened here, this has got to be. This is a prove it to me, get it done, or that's it. PFL, appreciate the super chat. I'm glad BJ is gone. We need to sign Swift again. I'm right there with you on both, man. That is what I would love to see. The question is, will we actually get it? I don't know. We've talked about it a number of times, but there's too many times as far as Howie not signing the running back. And that's what leads me to believe that it probably won't happen. Because I don't know, Swift did good, and he wasn't even used the best. That's the other part. So I think he knows it. He knows he could probably get a contract from another team that sees and is like, oh man, hey, this dude, we've known he could be good. He proved that he could stay healthy for a season, and the Eagles didn't use him in the best way. They used him okay, and he finished with a solid year. So I mean, if I'm another squad, I'm probably like, hey, Philly's not going to pay him. We could probably come in and be a little bit low ball market-wise if there's not a huge market for it, because Philly's still not going to offer that. But I'm with you, though. Yes, if you could, hopefully, Howie would re-sign him, because I think that there's tons of untapped potential, even as good of a season as he had there. Jerome, what's up? Nick threw everyone under the bus to save his ass. Use the emoji there. That is so true. That is exactly what happened. And goes into the meeting with Lurie, and Lurie's like, what you got for me? Well, let me tell you. BJ was trash. I had this great offense, and he kept calling stuff. He undermined me. He's just the worst. We got to get rid of him. Sean Desai was, doing an okay job, but, not good enough, and he wasn't going to change some stuff. So I put Patricia in there, and then Patricia just got out his pencil and started drawing up an entirely new defense I knew nothing about. So both they all need to be gone. It'll be better. Trust me. Yeah, I don't know. He said enough for Lurie to keep it. I think honestly, it's just optics wise. That's the only thing that I can come to because I disagree with it. You guys know that I disagree with Sirianni staying. I know that's crazy for some people that it's one season, 7-game stretch. That was the terribleness of it. But I don't know. I had seen enough. I think a lot of us had seen enough, but it's probably just the optics. Lurie was looking at it as well, saying, even if Sirianni's not the guy, optics of firing a coach who made the playoffs, maybe it's not the best if we want a future candidate. I don't know. Maybe. The issue, too, and I'm going to try to find the tweet here, is like what OC wants to come and coach with Sirianni? Yeah, here it is. Who wants to come and coach with Sirianni? This is Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said, I think coaches know going in that this is a tough situation, especially on offense, because Nick Sirianni is going to have major influence over the game plan. That's crap. That's terrible. I hate that he's saying that because it leads me to believe that Sirianni is still going to be heavily involved with this offense. And then in that case, hire whoever you want because it doesn't matter. It'll all be scrapped next season because it's going to be the same old BS that you run, and it won't be the answer. Hopefully he's wrong. But I understand also from the outside looking in, if I'm an OC, I'm going like, I don't want to go to Philly because of Sirianni. If you had fired Sirianni, I'd say you're going to have everyone lining up for that job. I know that it's a quick trigger. I know you could say a candidate might go like, man, hey, the ownership's going to let you go real quick if you have issues. But if I'm a good OC and I know I'm a good OC, I am like, heck yeah, give me that job. You're going to give me Jalen Hurts, who I can make certainly much better and put him in better place or better position to make plays. You're going to give me a great receiver talent in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert, who's clearly not being used how he should be, but can be phenomenal whenever you do. And you still got a good, I mean, it's not going to be as great, but a good core offensive line, even if Kelce leaves. So it makes total sense if Sirianni is not there. But the fact that he is staying, I hate it. But I do wonder if, certain OC candidates, and maybe the better ones, are going like, hey, look, I got a good offense. I'm confident in myself, but I just get the impression that Sirianni is going to overshadow and I'm not going to be able to implement my system. And if you can't, I wouldn't want to be there. Michael Kerwin, appreciate that. For real, Josh, your show is awesome. That means a lot, man. We are trying to get better each and every day. Got awesome stuff planned all throughout the off season. I'm going to have tons of shows. Like I said, draft coverage and everything else, but also just cool stuff for the channel. I got a lot of things trying to work through. They're great ideas, but now just like implement them for next season. So it's going to be a blast. We're definitely enjoying this. Ohaneman's family, let's see. If he would be open to reunion, would you bring C.J. Gardner-Johnson back? I think he was a huge missing piece on our defense this season. Yeah, if he was open to it, sure, why not? He's good. He's for sure good. I don't know how that plays out in the locker room. I think it could be fine. There's just so many issues with the defense. You need the personnel. We for sure need a safety. So, I mean, if CJ's open to it, then you're going to have... Can you imagine, though, if CJ comes back, the people that totally wrote him off? Like, be honest, if you were one of those that tweeted and said, this dude is ridiculous, I'll at least admit I thought he was crazy for the contract that he accepted, what he could have stayed in Philly for, but then the details were unclear and a little bit fuzzy also of, who's telling the truth, which one was it, an agency, was it what the Eagles were kind of leaking as far as the contract? But yeah, you want to say like saved or bookmarked tweets from people that were calling him out, and then all of a sudden have to be like, hey, sorry, we want you back. But I'd gladly take him, though. You need that on the defense. George Little, love my guy Josh Davis, man. Appreciate that. Love you too. Dylan, what's up? Josh, who would you like to see us get for DC and OC to actually make a difference and not have to have a flop of a season like this season? Also love the channel. Appreciate that. Yeah, in a perfect world, I don't know. I'd probably Jesse Minter is who I said for defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator. I don't even know who's available out there right now. That Shane Waldron was my pick. Again, I keep saying this, but I don't know. Let me try Bieniemy. Sure, I'll go with that. I would rather that just with the offense that you have. Sirianni's already leaning to throwing the football, and Lurie has got to be thinking to himself, we have to maximize Jalen Hurts because we paid all this money. So that's probably. Nathan, I'm predicting a cringe fest at tomorrow's presser. Yeah, how many times are we going to get the Sirianni comment of, it starts with me. It starts with me. It's got to be better. It will be better. We're taking all the steps to improve this and put the players in position to make plays. Yeah, we can almost guarantee we know what's going to be said. Marcus, let's say we start at 1-4 next year. Is Sirianni axed? That's a good question. I don't know what it would take for a start. You'd think that you'd be close to it with still as much talent as you have. I don't know, 1-4, yeah, maybe. Much more than that for sure. Like 1-5, 1-6 for 1-6 without question. 1-4, not many teams do much after 1-4, so that might be enough as it is. He's on the hot seat. That's without a doubt. Techno Eagle, I already answered the DC question. Also, is Kelce retiring or is he still not announced yet? Still not announced officially. I hope he comes back. I really do. There was a rumor too. I don't know if this is officially confirmed, but there was a rumor that Travis Kelce might retire. I don't know if you guys saw that, but was it Michelle Tafoya? I believe. I think that's the one. Michelle Tafoya had said, depending on how the season goes, I don't know if that means if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl again, that it's what else are you gonna do? But I don't know if I buy that. Could you imagine, though, both Travis and Jason calling it quits on the same year? Devontae, what's up? Says if Sirianni is involved more into the offense, then it'll be the same offense we saw this year. Yep. It'll be same offense and incredible frustration and not going to be... You'll get multiple things, I think. You're going to not get improvements, but you thought this season was bad as far as players' frustration, losing the locker room, guys going above and beyond. Like I said, the word for the season was weird, but maybe another word for the season was drama. I don't know if I remember drama as much in this sense for any year. I know the Chip Kelly and even Carson Wentz situation. There's been drama for sure, but with the way that this season started to then all of a sudden where it got to, I don't know. It felt like every single day, you guys that watch the show, every single day there's so-and-so says this, so-and-so's upset, so-and-so's frustrated, so-and-so's calling out, the play calling or upset with the run game, disagrees with the offense. There are so many things that we saw throughout this year. Man, you got to get this thing fixed and it's got to get back on the rails. And I don't know. I'm skeptical that it will. I hope that I'm wrong. Jason, for real, Josh, big fan of the show. I wish I'd found your channel earlier in the season. I appreciate that. That means a lot. We're going to keep it going. So, hey, you're on for the ride. Keep it going all throughout the off season. No shows don't stop as much as I can help it. So I'm cranking out content as much as possible. But then got some really cool stuff planned, like I said, for the regular season. Salvatore, what's up? Dig the show. You're doing a great job. Can I get a shout out? Absolutely. From LaPorte, Texas. Fly Eagles Fly. There you go. Truth be told, I don't know if I pronounced that right, though. LaPorte. Is it LaPorte, Texas? That's what I went with. So, but there's your shout out. Ohana, do you think Bieniemy would be open to coming to Philly? Maybe. You think that I don't know. Being enemy, I don't know why he wouldn't. Like there's lots of potential like we've been talking about. So you have playmakers, you got guys that can do a lot of stuff in your offensive scheme. I mean, has Bieniemy had, I know it was Andy Reid, but still, like, has he even in that situation with the Chiefs, like, I don't know that he's had as much talent or would have as much talent as he's stepping into this role. So again, it comes down to, is he going to want to work with or be overshadowed by Sirianni? I don't know. Appreciate it. Cheesesteak. Uh, Prabot, I sorry, I may not say that name correctly, but love from Toronto. I appreciate that. Let's get a super chat here from Mike. All right, I think one of the key personnel we need to get to Philly is in Dallas right now, and his name his name is Josh Davis. Well, I appreciate that, man. That's I've come to Philly a couple different times, but yeah, that's gonna take some convincing with my wife. She's the cheesehead, and we have a blast. I'm just honestly, it's me too. I won't lie. It's me too. Family's here. It's hard to leave family. So, but I'm gonna get to Philly. Goal is anyway, get to Philly as much as possible this next season. We did it twice. I think we could probably get there a couple more times, especially if we can host a playoff game. That was really the goal. I was gonna go to the playoff game. I mentioned a couple of shows, but I was gonna give away playoff tickets too. So we've got lots of tickets to give away next season. I'm hoping to do like, maybe this is too big picture, but I'm really hoping to do like some sort of like get together with fans of the channel or something. So I don't know if we meet up for like a cheesesteak somewhere, but yeah, we definitely need to make that happen. So maybe not permanently, but we'll get to Philly. Robert Shields, what's up? I see Bieniemy coming to Philly if Rivera does. If it goes well, he could potentially be the next head coach. I'm curious though on that one, because like if it goes well, doesn't Sirianni stay and keep his position? I mean, I think he could become a head coach in general. He could for sure parlay that, and then like we've talked about, you're back to the same spot you started. The issue of, hey, we don't have a good offense, and then you do a good job, and then you get poached, and then Sirianni's still there. So it's just the vicious cycle repeats itself. But if he does a good enough job, well then Sirianni can be like, hey, look, I got the right guy, got the right guy for the offense. Goat James, Adam Stenovich, Packers OC. Okay, he's done a good job. Could call some plays. I'm wanting somebody who's going to come in with their scheme. And again, I don't know if that's like a Matt LaFleur who's actually scheming it, because there's another, you want guys who have their own offensive scheme, who have a mindset of their own, going to bring something, and then it matters, but it doesn't matter drastically of who they bring in as their OC, at least in my opinion. You have someone who's proven, who can do really well, and then you can just kind of insert and they take over because the offense in itself, or the offense runs itself. But maybe. There's a name I haven't seen much, so. TA, Nick constantly said that starts with me, but then fired the people following his direction. That's pretty ironic, actually. That's a great point. He definitely said, how many times? I'd love a tracker. How many times did Sirianni actually say it starts with me? When technically it did, but it kind of doesn't. Yeah, you're right. He had to fire all those. You think he went that to Desai? Or what if like Desai or Patricia or even BJ brought that up to him? Like, but I thought you said it started with you. Like, just let me be clear. I understand you're letting me go. That's whatever. But like, didn't you say it starts with you? Like, well, technically, kind of. Zachary Roy, what's up? I think Kelsey's podcast really relies on them playing, giving week-to-week insight. I love Jason, but I'll definitely watch their show less if he isn't playing. Yeah, that's I can understand that. I think they'll probably have fewer. They'll still have. I mean, they'll still have a ton. They're popular. Their personalities. They're going to be around the game to a certain extent. You know, they might even get more player interviews. Honestly, if they're not playing, that way they can just kind of stay relevant. Kind of in a similar sense ish of like the Manning cast would be my thought, but I get that. Because I mean, I watch it for the same thing. I'm like, oh, I'm curious to hear what he's going to say about, what he's going to say about the game. What he's going to say about something that went wrong. Break down the game. Break down just general NFL stuff because they were in the game itself. But yeah, that makes sense. Cheesesteak, that's a good point. TO last year was last time so much drama. There was a ton of that. Philly 500 pounds. What it do, Josh? What it do? That's even better. So Nick saying that starts with me is code for someone getting fired. Yeah, now we know from now on. Whenever he's like, "Hey man, it's it starts with me. Someone's getting fired." That's it, as Nathaniel says. But Josh, Nick is a culture guy, right? He's a culture guy. And we pay him lots and lots of money and let him lead this team and this offense because of the culture that is apparently incredible. Yet the locker room turned sour. I'm kind of trying to figure that one out, but there's something there. There is something there. Andrew with another super chat. What's up, OC Zach Johnson, Gerard Johnson, QB coach, and / pass coordinator. I'm not opposed to Gerard Johnson as a QB coach. Some people were saying Gerard Johnson for the OC, but to me that feels like you're basically, and it's somewhat strange or odd that, you have Brian Johnson and you might Gerard Johnson, you have QB experience. But I wouldn't want Gerard as the offensive coordinator, so I like the thought there. I mean, if you put him as the QB coach, for sure. Look what he did with the Texans or is doing with the Texans. That could work. Let's see here. It has... I think it's Zach. Yeah, Zach Robinson. I was Googling it here because I was curious. Has Zach Robinson... let's see. Interview with the Saints. Quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator. Has he called plays? That was the only thing that I was looking up. I like the tie-in to the Rams. I like the tie-in passing game coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Like, that could be good. Yeah, I don't know if he's done that. Again, it's like the question, do you take a risk? You take a chance on someone who hasn't called plays yet, but, can he bring in a scheme? So, yeah, and Andrew, yeah, Zach Robinson, I caught that. But I mean, I would consider it for sure out of the candidates that we've seen or thought about. Goat James, Eagles need to learn from Madden using West Coast offense settings. Whatever it takes, man. I don't care. Like, throw it out there. Tracy Ann, one potential upside about Bieniemy is that there were all these complaints preseason about how tough of a coach he was and that his coaching style was too harsh. That's true. That's really true. Yeah, if you want to get some physicality and toughness in there, he's been said for multiple times. Even in Kansas City. I mean, I think some of the guys were saying that there. Cheesesteak. Don't put that on me. Come to Philly when your electric grid shuts down again. Come on. Don't do that. You're going to jinx it. Brian, appreciate that. Good evening, Josh. Great content, man. Keep it going. Very much appreciate that. Let's see. There's another comment here. Oh, Cal Bundy. Sirianni is the Carson Wentz of coaching. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Donald Egley. What about Al Harris for DC? I've seen his name a couple times. I could see that as, I see Jason here mentions that Al Harris is the only young coach I'd want as DC. Possibly there. Yeah, you got to feel really good about someone. If you're going to take a chance on, I think we all know this, but you're going to take a chance on a young coach, and especially one that if you're going to, even some of the offensive coordinators that we mentioned that maybe haven't called an offense, you got to really make sure that you feel good about it. I'm not sure. Did Jason talking about Kelce? Doesn't Kelce already have a spot with Amazon? Maybe. I'm not sure if he 100% does, but it wouldn't surprise me. He could do whatever he wants. He could just about go to any network or wherever. I mean, you kidding me? The dude that can shut down the Bills game, basically. I mean, stealing all the airtime from Taylor Swift. Like, that was great. That was so great. The dude is a national icon. I mean, he could just immediately run for he could run for the mayor of Philly and win. I mean, there's lots of things that he could do. So I think if he just walked in and he's like, hey, I'm going to go do that. But I think you're right. I think he's already got a spot, basically, if he wants it. Hoop Beast, what's up? Any hope Denard Wilson comes back? Hopefully. There is hope. There is hope. Now, like legit hope? I don't know. I've only seen one rumor that suggested that Denard Wilson was an intriguing name that got thrown out there, but is that someone that's reporting on it because they know that it's gonna, be exciting, or was it a legit report? Because they did say that according to the report or the rumor that Sirianni met with Lurie and threw out Denard Wilson, and that Lurie was intrigued. But Sirianni would have to, go back and apologize and say he was dead wrong. And would Denard Wilson even entertain it still if that happened? I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he was kind of like, yeah, I appreciate it, but I'm not coming back. He knows what he's doing with the secondary, though. Jesse Lopez, what's up? Watching you from Fort Worth. All right. We're incredibly close. Appreciate you hanging out. Cheesesteak would like to see Denard come back. Lots of people would. You're not alone. Marquise Brown, I'm a Philly fan, but I'm from the great state of Texas. Me too. Appreciate you joining. Me too. We gotta stick together, especially in Texas. You get around those Dallas fans, and they're, well, Donald Egley, D-Gun said Denard Wilson's fence is broken. No mending going on. Okay, well, maybe no chance then in that case. But yeah, I was going to say, it's not surprising that you wouldn't be able to because of how it went down, but I was hopeful. He's got a lot. I mean, if I'm him, though, you got a lot going with Baltimore. You could make a jump if defensive coordinator position is open, but I don't even know if it is. It would be if the Eagles and if Sirianni was wanting for Denard Wilson to come back, it seems like it'd just be like, well, hey, we'd bring you back in as a positional. But then again, it's like that's not a promotion. That's not an elevation there, so it doesn't make as much sense. Baltimore's not a bad place to be right now if I'm Denard Wilson. Matt Gonzalez, linebacker with round 1 pick. As much as a lot of us would love that, we're probably not going to see that. Does anyone really expect to see a linebacker taken from a Howie Roseman draft in round 1? I would love it, though. Love to just see some shakeup. It would depend on who's available. I think there's probably other positions you go after because there's lots of holes, and we do need to get a linebacker. I maybe like a second round, third round, because we'll have a compensatory. Yeah. We did get that, if people are not aware, just to update on the draft situation. We're going to have lots of draft coverage again, but I'll throw this one up here just in case people hadn't noticed. But we're going to get the compensatory picks. We got kind of a details for what you get back. 4 compensatory picks in the 2024 NFL Draft. 3rd round pick for Javon Hargrave. 5th round for Isaac Seumalo. 5th round for Andre Dillard. 5th round for TJ Edwards. So there you go. I guess my question is, does any of that feel like it's an adequate repayment? I know that you couldn't keep them all to begin with, but like that's some serious losses, and we know that. But to me, out of all those, and I look at that, are you kidding me? You get rid of TJ Edwards and you get a 5th round pick back for the compensatory. That's brutal. That is a terrible, And again, hindsight's 2020. I get that. I've made, I'm sure, way more mistakes than Howie Roseman has, but I'm also not making near as much as Howie Roseman has. But still, TJ Edwards, man, didn't even offer him, apparently. According to Clay Harbor, didn't even offer TJ Edwards, and you're going to get a 5th round pick back for him. Hopefully, you can turn these things around, at least get some decent depth and have some guys contributing, but I don't know. Yeah, maybe you use it on a linebacker in one of those later rounds. That would be more likely, is what I feel like from Howie. But, sorry, I can't remember if I threw this one up here. But Don Capone, what's up? Watching from London right now. Man, what time is it there? Let's see. It's, I think 6 hours from me. So it's 1? Is it 1:28 in the morning? I think it's about that much, but appreciate you hanging out. What's up? I've been to London one time. My wife and I stayed near Piccadilly Circus. Good times. Melston for life, watching from Saudi Arabia. Now that I have no clue what time it is. That feels like it's incredibly early-ish, I think. But appreciate you hanging out. Marquise, fly Eagles fly. Yes, sir. Fly Eagles fly. Says as soon as Slay got his podcast this year, his play dropped. Any connections, you think? Maybe. I mean, I love the content. Like, I love getting extra insight. Yeah, again, talking about like not only Slay, but Kelce's podcast. You get it. Everyone's doing it these days, so that's the part that's not super surprising. Was it that? Was it age? Was it the knee injury? Because I don't know if that's a knee injury on Slay that he got banged up like beforehand and was trying to play through it, or if it was just like in one game and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we need to get this thing fixed. It felt like it was one game. But maybe it's hard. It's hard to know exactly. But when there's extra distractions, sometimes, yeah, I'm going like, I don't know if I want my player to be like all involved in the media and podcast and everything else. But, hey, they're entitled to do that. I mean, there's nothing stopping them, so they might as well. Matt's, how many total picks will this give us now? That's a good question. Let's see. I'm going to look this up as it is 4:30 in Saudi Arabia. I see that comment there. So, man, good on you for hanging out. We appreciate you being here. But that is, again, crazy early or late however you look at that. Let's see. Draft picks for the Eagles. Where are we at now? It is... Yeah, we should be at 9. So it looks like here... If I can throw this up and get to it. Yeah, so it looks like we'll have 9 now with a compensatory pick. So again, you got the 3rd round compensatory and then the 3 5th-round compensatories. So you have the 22 overall in the 1st round, and then 2 seconds, a 3rd, no 4ths, obviously, and then, 4 5ths, and then a 6th. So 9 in total. Surely you can do something with that. Goat James, Chiefs defense are built by the draft picks. Eagles need to do the same. Yeah, please. Please, please, please. Cheesesteak. Did Nick Foles get their famous Super Bowl play name from your channel? Yeah, they did. I hey, you got me. You figured it out. They got it from me. Don't go look and see when this channel started, but yeah, they were like, "Oh man, that's a good one." John Kempsky, what's up? Watching for Baja California, Mexico. I'm honestly gonna just, share that I have no idea geographically. So Baja California, is that like in Baja California, Mexico? Is that in Mexico? Is it called? I have no idea. I don't know if that means that you're in Mexico or if that's the name. No clue, but appreciate you joining from, I assume, in that time zone of Pacific time. Yeah, Marquise, if you can do a podcast and still produce at a high level, I say go ahead. But if not, save it for after the season. Yeah, I'm with that. If you can play up to that standard that we talk about, not as big of a deal whenever you're doing that. But otherwise, maybe just wait. Yeah, I'm curious to see too. Again, you talk about the weird vibes, like there's a culture issue. There's some questions of how do you get that figured out. We also haven't heard from AJ Brown, which we haven't heard from a lot of guys naturally because, season's over. You're not going to hear anything. I would have liked to have heard something just, with his injury, anything. Because I don't know. There was like, hey, there's hope that he's going to come back. I'm just curious, like, was it a serious one? Was it kind of a minor injury? I know they said there was hope he could return in that next round against the playoffs, but we still don't know. Like, that doesn't mean exactly, was it a serious injury? Was it not as big of a deal? But we never heard from AJ. And then, after deleting stuff off of his social media, it doesn't appear that he's put that back on, at least the last time that I checked. Again, he could do whatever, but it's obviously created some speculation because some people reporting that may not have sources, but some people reporting that saying AJ Brown could request a trade if that's going to happen. That's ridiculous. He's not going to request a trade. Surely not. Although there's been some crazy stuff happen, so, I guess you could hold to that and be like, well. Andrew, talking about the draft, though. Again, got to get some players and personnel, but want us to draft Malachi Corley or Malik Washington for wide receiver 3. Also, running back Ray Davis. Yeah, I'm definitely on board with Ray Davis. Especially, I think it depends on what happens with Swift, but for sure. If you get Swift back, then, naturally that's probably out the window, but it's not going to happen. Yet if not, Kenny Gainwell's a good secondary option, someone to split and, share the carries with, but he's not going to be your main guy. So you got to get something figured out. If Howie's already looking at it going, say, we're not going to re-sign DeAndre Swift, then he'll just look at somewhere else. So, yeah, we'll definitely have more breakdown on future guys to be targeting and draft coverage and everything else. Was going to have Anthony DeBona on too, because he's been covering some stuff, certainly with like the Senior Bowl and potential targets. Also keeping up with the draft tracker, the draft tracker, the meeting tracker. So people that, paying attention, usually, as most teams do, but certainly with the Eagles, they typically will meet with players that they're going to draft, or that they do end up drafting. So if you haven't already, I'm encouraging you to follow Anthony DeBona, Outside the Birds, on Twitter, because he has the draft meeting tracker. And let's see, I'm going to try to find it here. Here we go. But he does a really, really good job breaking down who the Birds have met with and the time spent there and everything else. So you check it out. But so far, the update from the last time they updated here. So there's the meetings that have occurred. Meeting, and it's great too, because again, I would be lost without the key, but meeting at one of the postseason All-Star games. So these are so far just preliminary, but it'll get better and more intense naturally whenever they have private workouts or have them actual for a meeting, a formal meeting, whether it's at the combine or wherever. But so far, you got Blake Watson, running back out of Memphis, Jaquan Burton, wide receiver, Florida Atlantic, Dimitri Stanley from Iowa State, and Steve Stevens, the corner out of Oregon. So those are the 4 so far. But again, this will be crazy updated and in-depth coverage and everything else. So if you haven't already, go over to Twitter or X or whatever you call it, because Anthony is on top of those things, and he will be sure to keep everyone updated about who the Birds are meeting with. So yeah, I was going to try to have him on tonight, but got stuck working, which, again, we'll have him soon with some draft breakdown, and keep an eye on that. But Quincy here says Jeremiah Trotter Jr. We talked about him earlier, but we need a middle linebacker. We need a linebacker, hopefully. Nathaniel Bowden, what did you make of Jalen's comments on locker cleanout day? I guess curious, maybe a little bit more specific, or just in general. I can provide some thoughts, I guess, but is there anything more specific to certain comments that he made? Just let me know, and I'll get to that. Josh, what's up? Who are you picking to win the Super Bowl? I think the Ravens. That might be too easy of a pick, just based on the favorites that they are. But the Chiefs have found a way. They struggle in offense, but the defense been good all year. Offense starting to find itself. It's hard to bet against Mahomes, so it wouldn't be crazy. Wouldn't surprise me if the Chiefs end up upsetting Baltimore and go to the Super Bowl. I just can't say the Niners. If the Niners win, I'm gonna be so irritated. Like, of all the teams that are left and that could win it, that is one that I'm going to be not very happy about, I'll be honest. So hopefully the 49ers, and I know I will get trolled like crazy, and that's fine. You know what? The 49ers can show up to the channel because they love to troll anyway, but as soon as that happens, like, oh yeah, hey, look at us, we won. Good for you. But yeah, hopefully not them. Emily Garcia, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Yes. Yep. There's Another name I would be happy and excited with. Although Duba asks, what position should the Eagles draft in the first round? You know, I think I think as far as the position that they should draft, it's probably I go back and forth on it because there's a lot of holes I think that we realize that the team has. So in a way, that's kind of a blessing. In a weird way, I guess it's kind of a blessing. But it's like the hope would be at 22, if you don't trade, maybe we get some trades because Howie loves to trade on draft night. But like if you don't trade, then you're at 22 and you just take the best available player for the most part. I mean, there's maybe a couple exceptions, but basically you take the best available player. And it makes it kind of easy on you because you say, well, there's multiple areas that we could shore up. If you're not going to do that, though, honestly, I would love to have linebackers, make an investment more than we have. But I still think defensive line, probably, as much as even the other glaring issues, because it feels like Fletch is not coming back. Like based on JD's comment, feels like Fletch may not be coming back. And I want the rotational pass rush, but if you're going to have Sweaty, if you're going to have Reddick, BG probably, I think, will come back. He most likely would sign kind of a team-friendly-ish deal. His farewell tour, he wants to hang around in Philly, so that's good. But you're going to have Jalen Carter, you're going to have JD, you're going to have Milton Williams. Hopefully Milton Williams can get a few more snaps, but at the same time, too, the rotational pass rush, like if there's a pass rusher there that he's available, I would just say go ahead and do it. Like you want another guy who can be fresh. You have Nolan Smith on the outside, so you might look at possibly an interior if you're losing Fletch. And I'm kind of sad to say that because it's honestly like I'm saying, hey, we're giving up on Jordan Davis, but he hasn't given you near as much this year as far as or the first two seasons. Can you trust what level he's playing at and how he's performed? It's the whole comments of, is he out of shape? Is he overweight? He did well in the first 5 or 6 games, and then since then he kind of just fell off. So I don't know if that was conditioning, if he was maybe injured. But I wouldn't be opposed to a pass rusher. You could also see, I could also definitely see an offensive lineman. I'd be fine with that. If Kelce goes, that also feels likely. I hope it's not. But then you'd assume that Cam Jurgens slides to the center. Tyler Steen, maybe he can be the right guard. I know that he played there a couple times. Did okay, did all right. But from the offensive line in general not being great, I wouldn't mind getting a beast in there, like whoever that ends up being at 22, if you're still at that spot. But somebody that can help on both sides, run game and pass game. But really, for me, it's more the running game. Get a bruiser, someone that's a road grader and going to make the life easier so you can get back to that physical style. You just didn't see as much of it. And I think it'll also put Cam Jurgens in a better spot. I think he needs to be center. He was okay at the guard position, but he needs to be playing center. So I don't know. It's maybe boring because you go back to just the trenches, which is what we always see. But that's kind of where I'm at. Cool Rains. Hi, Josh. What's up? Appreciate you joining. Let's see. Goat James. The Niners are 1.5 point favorites in the Super Bowl pool ahead. Yeah. That's true. It wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't like to see it, but Cool Rains, I want Baltimore to win it all. Definitely have a good chance. In a way, I almost feel like it's worse that Baltimore beat the 49ers earlier this year. Because sometimes, you know how the rematch goes. You won earlier. The other team's hyped, ready for revenge. Whatever you want to call it. It's kind of hard to beat a team back-to-back. I hope not, but that might actually work in their favor. Dre, my twin brother, is a Niners fan, but go Birds all day. Man, that's tough, bro. I'm a twin too, so shout out to you for having a twin. My twin is a Packers fan, so it's not as bad. Man, I don't know, man. If I had to deal with a Niners fan for a brother, let alone a twin brother. Dude, that'd be. Be honest though. Did you let him hear it? Did you let him hear it after the NFC Championship game last year? I know how sibling rivalries can go, and I know how you kind of egg each other on, but that's I'm sure it's probably been difficult this season. Not only with the way the regular season went, but if the Niners go all the way, that'd be tough. Fitness Warrior, how's it going? Hello, Josh. Did you talk about Jalen's leadership? A little bit, yeah. We got into it earlier, but basically just, the questions of his leadership people questioning his leadership, and is Jalen saying the right things? Is he not? Is he not being as boisterous as they want him to, or just, taking initiative to lead the team from like a body language and speaking up? And, because it seems like he's a little bit more of a quieter strength. He says things when he needs to. And I know he gives plenty of speeches, but to me, it comes down to like, we didn't have all these questions pop up about Jalen when he gets this massive contract signed. Like it's all praises. And I get that Jalen put on one of the best performances ever by a quarterback in a Super Bowl. Yes, he fumbled. Terrible mistake there. But again, just stats wise, look at Chris Jones in the NFL top 100 saying like he was enamored basically. Like Jalen Hurts was insane that day. And Mahomes, everyone praising him. Okay, so he was great. So it made sense. Dude's getting paid. But you can't tell me that for someone who is, maybe they make bad decisions, but you can't tell me for someone like Jeffrey Lurie, who's been involved with the organization, done these deals, seen them go poorly in a couple instances, and like, let's not do our due diligence and just, absolutely make sure that we know, hey, this guy's leadership. Like you would think, maybe he did, maybe I'm wrong, but you would think after you had the experience of a Carson Wentz and going through these situations that before you open up the checkbook and pay $255 million, that you have those questions, those concerns answered, resolved, reassured. I don't know. To me, it feels like it's more of kind of a witch hunt in a way. Can Jalen be better? Absolutely. We can all be better. Like there's always improvement, but I don't think it's as glaring of an issue despite the, hey, people are not going to talk to him. Now, Britton Covey apparently, shared with, I think the Enquirer was the one that reported this, of saying Britton Covey mentioned that like it's an open door policy, but in the same way, kind of like a coach, when it is an open door policy, you can go talk to him, but a lot of times you don't, just because there's an intimidation in general. That's kind of the feel of Jalen because of his presence and his aura and his I don't know what way of relating or whatever, like very buttoned up, very polished, standoffish to the media, but we don't get an inside look at like, what is he like just being himself, besides like the mic'd up moments. And those are cool. I mean, I like seeing Jalen, what he's like whenever he's mic'd up, because we don't get the inside scoop or be able to say like, oh, hey, Jalen's cool. Like Jalen's all right. He can kind of, relax a bit or be himself, be natural, normal, instead of just this, fake, or I don't know, fake's maybe not the right word, but just very PC. He's only going to give the right answers and it's going to barely get much at all. He's going to have a couple, quotable moments because he has these sayings that are both awesome and infuriating at times of his various comments. But yeah, like, to me, it's not it's not really a big deal. I think it's ridiculous for people saying that. Let me get to some super chats here too. I missed those just a second ago, but Vastaflow, what's up? How's it going? He says, are we happy Nick is staying? He should be fired. We all know he is not the long-term answer. Can't even call plays. Nick ain't it. Appreciate the 5. And appreciate you answering the question as well. But I'm with you. I think the vast majority seems to be with you. He cannot call plays, and he can't scheme up an offense. So we were talking about that earlier with the offensive coordinators and finding issues or finding the answer to those issues. I don't know, bro. He's going to get one more shot. This is his chance to prove it. Can he be the answer? Or can he find the answer, I should say. Can he find the answer with an OC, and will he step back and allow them to call the plays? That remains to be seen. Family YouTube, appreciate the 2, says, hi, how likely are we getting Jeremiah Trotter Jr.? I feel like unlikely. Although Mel Kiper did a mock draft. I think he's gotten his first like official one, but he did one earlier. I think it was during the season, actually. But Jeremiah Trotter was mocked to the Eagles. So, what? Are you saying there's a chance? Maybe. Wouldn't say it's impossible. Knowing Howie, does he draft a linebacker that early? It would surprise me. But I don't know. Percentage-wise, what would you guys say? Like, percentage, we're going to get Jeremiah Trotter. If it's me, I'm saying like 5% chance. I would hope it'd be better than that. But again, just knowing what we usually see from the squad and from Howie in the drafting process, plus the holes that we have. Linebackers hole, don't get me wrong. But trenches need to be filled there too. So that's probably where I'd be at. Man, we got a lot of Coach James. My brother's also a Niners fan. That's brutal. What is up with that? Yeah, Marquise Nolan Smith wasn't a pass rusher in college. He stopped the run. So drafting him to strictly pass rush was odd to me. Yeah, I mean, felt like they were trying to obviously coach that into him and get him to rush the passer better. The hope is that he's got the physical tools, it feels like. He just wasn't ever kind of coached into, getting that technique. So maybe you can do it, but I mean, overall, sure, the first season not as great as we would have hoped it to be, obviously. I'm definitely not giving up on Nolan, so people know that. Agree with Viat. I think the secondary was just poorly coached. Denard Wilson had the secondary playing like all-stars, without question. Elaine, you look tired, Josh. Thank you. Well, it's a little bit less sleep with baby number 2, but we're all right. We're getting through, and we're trying to stick with the coffee. So whatever it takes. Cool Rains, my dad is a Giants fan, and my uncle's a Cowboys fan, so it sort of sucks. Got teased a lot about only winning one Super Bowl. Man, that is... Oh, you got both of there. Yeah, the Giants and Cowboys. I've heard it too. I've got most are Cowboys fans. I've got a couple close friends who are, twin brother who's a Packers fan. Most of the other family Cowboys, and a few friends Seahawks. There's a Patriots fan too. I know it's not NFC, so it maybe doesn't feel as good or as bad, but it felt bad. It felt bad until we beat them, 2017. So had the constant reminder until then. Fitness Warrior, here you go. There's the comment from before. But after hearing everything about his leadership, go back and watch Jalen Hurts' final media day. He was surprised when he heard the accusations, but he still said he had to improve his leadership. Okay, there you go. So, yeah. I mean, that's the question that I have too. And Jalen did admit it, but the question is like, how much is Jalen like actually that's legit versus, he's not hearing the noise or he doesn't understand or know what's going on publicly there. Saying that he was surprised about accusations, but that might be surprising. But it's sometimes, funny even in the sense of like Fletcher Cox, whenever he was asked about Sirianni being fired and he's basically been like, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous, and obviously he's right in the sense of Sirianni staying around, but he's acting like he hasn't heard the speculation there. It's like, come on, you know it. I mean, he's on the he's on with Zach Berman and Bo Wolf all the time. So I mean, he hears it, he knows it. It may be crazy and ridiculous to him, but it's not like sometimes when they act about, oh no, I haven't heard that. That's strange. Are you kidding me? Makes me think about Sirianni and the whole thing on the sidelines. Early in the season, he gets asked about what was the frustration or argument or whatever, and at first he's like, what? I'm not sure what you're talking about, and then it's like, well, the cameras caught you, and then he's like, oh well, just try to get around it. But it's like, yeah, we see stuff, we know, we're trying to pay attention. Andrew says Covey can bounce after that comment. Why are you talking to reporters about that? Shaking my head. Yeah, I don't know if that was one of those where Covey accidentally got backed into a corner or like was trying to in a way defend Jalen, but it came out negatively, or if it got spun in that way. So I didn't hear the actual interview. I don't know if I don't know if we can or will, because it just came out, or if that was just one of those that got written. So that's the hard part. Tone is important. I try to include it in the show as anytime I can. I try to include the actual clip instead of just the text, because it's much worse that that. You don't get the full scoop or the full story there. Jason, you guys mean you're estranged brothers. Yeah, right. That's, yeah. Forgot to add that little part. Yeah, when they're fans of those teams, it's, of course. Jordan says, my whole family is Steelers fans, so at least we aren't them. Could be worse. Although they still have the Super Bowl argument, every single time. At least we have one, because for the longest time it was so frustrating. If you're like, oh, how many Super Bowls you won? How many Super Bowls you won? It's like, come on. But then the question now is, well, still, how many? Because it's one. But it's not zero. Rima, I don't hate the Niners as much as they hate us. What a bunch of weird, corny ass fans they are. Yeah, they love to whine. That is true. Hey, Marcus here. This is a good one. I like this. Anytime we want to troll the Cowboys, that's a good one. The Detroit Lions have more championship game appearances than the Dallas Cowboys in the last 28 years. That is correct, sir. More than they have in the last 28 years. So remind any Dallas fans that you see, if they ever give you some flag, be like, hey, I think the Lions have more appearances than you do. Jay, what's up, Josh? We got 5 picks within the first 96 picks. Lots of defensive talent, it should be. I agree. It better be spent on a lot of defense. There's a couple minor holes in my mind, like offensively, but I think you can shore that up via some free agent guys, via some even UDFAs potentially. You've already got guys that you've signed to futures contracts, like Austin Watkins can be a potential. I'm curious to see how he does, because we saw it in the preseason. And it's the wide receiver. Again, used to be at Cleveland. Played in the, what was it? The XFL? I'm drawing a blank now. Was it Guardians, I think? Anyway, was at Cleveland preseason. Fast receiver, 6'3", 210. I think he could be good. Plus, wide receiver 3. We're not going to use a lot in general, but he'll be better than Quez. That's without question. Funny that we have another Watkins as a last name, but he'll be a better Watkins. But yeah, most of the draft picks, certainly early on, should be spent on defense. Jordan, a twin brother, is he as cool or less cool than you? That is a good question, and he might be watching. So we're both cool in our own cool way. He's a doctor, though. So I've joked, because I'm like, you could do what I do, but I could not do what you do. Like, that would be very dangerous. It'd be incredibly dangerous for me to try to do what he does. Eloy, we live in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm an Eagles fan, and my husband is Commanders fan. Well, sorry for your husband there. The Commanders, as much as we may want to complain about this season, Commanders can't be feeling great. Maybe they're going to turn things around, though. The new ownership. Hopefully then they can turn it around-ish, just not as much as us. But love that. Christian, what's up? Hey, Josh, how are your wife and baby? Appreciate you asking. They're doing well. We're doing well, getting used to, life with two babies or two kids, a 2-year-old and a 1 week old. But they're doing great. We're just adjusting to life with, less sleep than before. I think you kind of forget like how little sleep you had until you have another baby. And then you're like, wow, I forgot about this. But yeah, this is what life is like for a while. So that is us. Craig North, what camera are you using? Let's see. It's a Canon. Let me look it up. Sorry, I should know this, but it's a Canon EOS M50, I believe. Let me make sure. Or maybe it's an R7. Yeah, Canon EOS R7, I think. Yeah, I always forget. So, but that's it. It's the Canon EOS. Kevin, we have the most recent Super Bowl win in our division. Yes, we do. Absolutely. So remind everyone of that. Fitness Warrior, you're going to be live after the Howie and Nick's Media Day. We should be, yes. Tomorrow, it'll be same time, same start, 7 p.m. Eastern. So myself and Thomas Mott, we will be live breaking down the presser that probably will be very, I don't know, canned answers maybe and predictable. But if either way, whether it's predictable, whether it's unexpected, we will be breaking it down. There you go. Remo says, I also have a doctor sibling. My sister, I know how it goes. Yep. Jay, do you do any mock drafts live, man? Yes, I will. I did. I only did like one last season, but it's kind of started the channel. It hadn't been long after starting the channel because the channel's been around for, I guess, 10 months, almost 11 months now. So I didn't do too many, kind of figuring it out, honestly. I'm still figuring it out. But yeah, we'll do some live mock drafts. We'll do those certainly as we get closer and have an idea for, potential visits the Eagles are having and players there. But yeah, we'll for sure do that. Donovan, what's up? Nothing prepares you for the tiredness of a newborn. Yeah, I was in a world of hurt after my first kid. About to have my third in May, but congrats, Josh. I know you're great. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And congrats to you too. Man, a third. That is exciting and lots of other, newness. Every phase, right? It just changes and it gets different every time. But we're enjoying it and trying to learn as much as we can. That's for sure. We got some Q&As here, but these are pretty good. If you and T Mott were sent to play in the NFL, what position would you be, and how good of a punter would Mott be? Oh my gosh! If we were sent into the NFL, I mean, neither of us will. Oh, hey, I just got a breaking deal here. Hey, Cliff Kingsbury is going to be interviewing. Or wait, no, sorry, I'm sorry. I think I just no. Got a notification, and I think it's more of a question, but wait, nope, it is. Hang on. They did. Whoa. All right, I'm going to throw it up here. Sorry, I got a notification, so I'm kind of all over the place, but that could be good. The Eagles interviewed Cliff Kingsbury for their offensive coordinator position today. Whoa, yes. Now, who's in favor of that? I'll get to that question. Sorry, Jordan, about what position we play, but that is per Mike Garafolo. Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, if we're looking at an offensive coordinator, I would please hope that Sirianni is not going to be running any of this BS offense. But if you got Cliff Kingsbury there, I'm okay with that. It'd be much better. You give him the offensive weapons that we have too, but Cliff Kingsbury interviewing for the position, that's not too bad. What do you guys think about that? By the way, if we were sent to the NFL, just to answer your question, I have no clue. We'd be terrible. And Thomas would say that too. He wouldn't be taking offense. So I'm 6'3", like 210, so 205. I've got size, but like I'd be awful. I played quarterback a tiny bit and a little bit of receiver, but no, I would be trash. I don't know about Thomas, honestly. Punter wise, maybe. You asked how good he would be there. I don't know. I don't know how. I have no clue. You could ask him tomorrow. We'll be live then. But yeah, for the bigger news, obviously, the I'm so curious about this. So I'm sorry. We're kind of learning this one together, looking at it together. But so Cliff Kingsbury, and I'll throw up another graphic here. It looks like from the official Mike Garafolo tweet, but interviewed USC senior offensive analyst Cliff Kingsbury for their offensive coordinator job today. Kingsbury recently interviewed with the Bears, who hired Shane Waldron as OC. Philly moved on from OC Brian Johnson after one season. Well, there you go. Waldron was my top pick. But if you're not going to get Waldron, I mean, who else did you want? I mean, like who's better than Kingsbury? It's going to be, can't be worse than BJ. So that's already good going for you. But like Jim Bob Cooter is apparently not in play, according to Jeff McClain. There's Arthur Smith, but you have some questions, concerns. You got Bieniemy as a possibility, Frank Reich as a maybe, but seems like no because Sirianni hasn't even called him, according to reports. I'm curious to see that. Fitness Warrior, wow, what an amazing interview by them. His schemes are top notch. Although Donovan saying I don't think he's a great pick, but after Brian Johnson, I'll take him in a heartbeat. Yeah, I'm really just not sure because he's James Carver here. I'm definitely not. I know him. He's a good QB, but he also is too much of a player's coach who likes to think he's as good as Leach, but doesn't run like Leach did in Lubbock. I remember him definitely because I went to Baylor, so we watched. Actually, in fact, I was at Baylor. Let's see, I was there, I think 2 seasons during Mahomes, while Mahomes was at Tech. So we got to see 2 games when Baylor played Tech, and watch Kingsbury quite a bit. So it was unusual how sometimes they would really take advantage of Mahomes in the offense, and then other times there were some issues. So again, I'm not saying he's perfect, but I can't help but get a little bit excited because it's an improvement and it's a different name. Andrew Nathan, air raid, nice offense. We would need a sure-handed wide receiver 3 who's quick and can run every route. I'm an SC fan, so maybe I'm biased in LA after all. So that's fair. But maybe the Austin Watkins that we were talking about. I don't know. I mean, wide receiver 3. Chris Scott, Cliff Kingsbury would be great OC with this offense. Christian Kingsbury is a good young option with coaching experience at every level, but I would think maybe someone like Bieniemy would be better. Possibly. Yeah, I know you could go both sides. Manuel Gonzalez, Caleb Williams had his worst season under Cliff. Technically true, he wasn't really calling the plays, but And Cool Rains, though, after what I saw when he was at Arizona in their prime, I don't want Kingsbury. It's fair. I think he was a little bit in over his head as far as, you're going to be the head coach and calling plays and managing all of that. Like, it didn't make sense to me whenever he went from Tech to that job. So, I don't know. I think he's got a pretty good offensive mind. I don't think maybe it's not insane, but it's better than Brian Johnson, and it's got to be better than Sirianni. Andrew says, please keep West Coast out. All right, not a fan. Not in favor. Let's see. Yeah, question of Kellen Moore. Dallas was a top offense with him. No, I don't even know. Is he interviewing with anyone? Has he gotten a couple interviews? Possibly. Sounds like the interview was a virtual interview too with Kingsbury today, since he's still in LA. So it wasn't an in-person. I don't know if that makes a difference for, how serious it is versus just kind of a feeler out there, but nonetheless, it's a official interview that actually happens. Jay says, I'd rather approve an NFL OC just as long as that playbook gets an extreme makeover. Yes, whatever it takes to get an extreme makeover and get some new plays that Sirianni is not designing. I don't know. I'm curious to see. That's a surprise to me. I didn't expect to get the news there, but it broke, and now we know. I can't imagine that they'll make a decision just off of a couple of interviews. You got to think we're going to hear several different interviews that happen, but at least you're getting to the table on some of them. You missed out on a Shane Waldron if you even wanted that. That was my pick. Yeah, trying to see if there's anything else here about the interview, or not seeing too much yet. But Ryan, what's up? Cliff Kingsbury would be a fantastic OC fit. There you go. Let's see. Andrew says, let's bring up Arizona offense ranking when Cliff was the head coach. Let's do that. Let's look at that. Kingsbury's 4 seasons in Arizona had an average ranking of 15th in points and 14th in yards. So that was the average, which is very average, very middle of the pack during those 4 seasons. Let's see if we can get the official numbers. All right, let's screen share this one too. Okay, let's try to pull this up and find. Are we on offense? Mm. All right, 2019. There's Arizona, 16th. Although it jumped up quite a bit first year from 2018, 14.1 to 22.6. Middle of the pack. Let's see, following year, 2020. I know there's other things than just points per game, but this is where we're starting. Improvement, 22.6 to 25.6 in 2020, up to 14th. Still not the complete upper echelon, but better. Let's see, 2021, 25.6 to 25.6. Say about the same. 10th, though. Let's see, was 2022 the last year? Am I remembering that correctly? I think that was it. I could be wrong. I might be missing this up. I know it was those three, but 25.6 to 20. So, I mean, he improved in 3 of those years. There's a decrease the final, so I could understand like you're done and he hasn't been able to do enough, but technically there was some improvement. Ryan says Cliff is a QB whisperer. Hey, that's, if you buy that, he's the one who made Mahomes who Mahomes is. That's probably not true, but still, he coached Mahomes. James says, who was Baylor's head coach? I can't remember, but he'd be tons better than Cliff. Yeah, I mean, it's very, to open up a can of worms, to be very controversial, but Art Briles was the head coach at that time, and Briles was fantastic offensive mind. Lots of other things that we could say, bring up. We don't need to, but just as far as coaching wise, he was pretty good. Let's see, get to a super chat here. Vasta Flow, appreciate the 5. Josh, do you have an info on Covey being scared of Hurts? These reports are getting ridiculous. They want Hurts to fail. Yeah, I don't know. I talked about it a second ago. It's hard to know officially. Again, that's why I try to, as much as I can, anytime there's a clip of like video footage, to put it out there so you can see it and hear it and get the tone. All I've seen are the same thing I'm sure you guys are seeing, just the quote that was out there, but I don't know if that's like he got backed into a corner, someone twisted his words, he was trying to actually in a way defend Jalen, but then it got turned into him kind of admitting that it's like, oh, it's a little bit hard to approach him or, feel like we can, even though we know we can, just with who he is and that he's the star player or whatever, that's how people are feeling. But I don't know. I can't say. I don't like the reports of, anything, locker room tension, if there's people that don't believe in Jalen or concern or whatever, but yeah, Reno says, let's see, didn't Cliff have prime D-Hop and Christian Kirk, though? Oh, I guess to the question before about talent. Yeah, someone said he didn't have A.J. Brown. Yeah, Goat James didn't have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, SO line. Yeah, that's true. He had solid. I'll give you that. Definitely had solid with D-Hop and Christian Kirk, but I would say our talent here is better. James says, should bring in Baylor's Art Briles. He'd be better. Yeah. Out of shotgun style, play action, leeches air raid, but relies on the run. Also would work with Stout's O-line style and philosophy. I don't necessarily disagree with that, but they're not going to do that for a couple of reasons, and it's hard for Bryles to find a job anywhere. There's lots that I can get into, but I won't. I was covering the team when all the story and news broke of the Baylor fall and Bryles and all that, but schematically, I think he's a good mind. But Ryan says for Cliff though, he absolutely made Mahomes. I was attending Texas Tech at the time. Sweet. I bet we're pretty close in age then. I'm 31. So, yep. Also Baker Mayfield, Davis Webb. I remember Davis Webb. Forgot about him. Michael here. Did you see the report that Belichick going to the Falcons has lost momentum? Who knows if true? Lurie wouldn't want him anyway, but it's interesting. Yeah, I think I saw that. I don't know. It's one of those that, like you said, who knows if it's true? It's so hard. The speculation and like, hey, someone's interviewing here. Are they going to get a job? It's trending in the right direction. Whatever. It's really hard to know until we get the official report that, oh, hey, they're hiring with somebody. Because the number of times that we've all seen it. It's like, oh, they're going to get so-and-so, and turns out that there's hardly anything that went on. Maybe a virtual interview, because we even heard, oh, there's tons of interest in Brian Johnson around the league, and look where that went. So, who knows? There you go, Ryan, 32. Josh, do you know Josh Stephen from Fort Worth? He went to Baylor as well. I don't think I do. I don't believe that I do. Super chat here from Andrew says, bringing up Leach Air Raid. Cliff was his guy. It's a possibility. All right. I've been going for a while now, and I know that my wife needs some help, so I'm probably going to log off here. But always fun to hang out with you guys. Again, appreciate all the support. We'll have breakdown from the press conference tomorrow. Thomas Mott and myself, 7 o'clock Eastern. We will, react to whatever's said. Who knows? Maybe they give us some more insight into Kingsbury or the offense or wherever this thing's going, but we will have that for sure. And stay tuned for some of the other shows. Also going to do a live show on Friday. It'll be more like a happy hour, so if you guys want to hang out, we'll do that kind of in the afternoon, early evening-ish. And then also for any members, Hungry Dog members and higher, I got a breed of one, so shout out to Chris AM. But I'm going to do a Zoom call. So for Hungry Dog tiers and higher, you don't have to join. But if you're interested, going to do a Zoom call. So kind of a cool way just to get to know you guys better, interaction over video versus the chat here. But yeah, have that all on Friday too. So more shows to come. But again, appreciate you guys always. Until next time, go Birds.